Hello everybody, my name is Jorge Salcedo. I am the Home Equity Coach, and today I'm here with a special guest, broker, owner of Fast Action Mortgage, Mr. Andrew Yanni.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah, no problem, man. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just basically share with the people out there your journey, right? Because a lot of people, whether they're inspired to be a business owner, whether they're inspired to get involved in the mortgage industry, right? Obviously it takes time, it takes effort, energy. So I kind of want to just talk about your journey, how you got into the business, and talk about your business today.
Basically, I graduated college in 2008. In 2008, originally I wanted to go into law. I wanted to become a lawyer. I took my LSAT, applied to law school.
Wow.
I got into law school and just decided that I didn't end up going, but I just decided that I didn't think that was the right fit for me. So in 2008, everybody knows the market, the market crashed, Lehman Brothers crashed, all that kind of stuff, right? Countrywide went down. So, it was a bad time in the country, it was a bad time in the economy for the country. So I just, I had to figure, I knew I wanted to do real estate. I saw everybody was, not everybody was, there's a lot of successful people in real estate. The most millionaires in the country are made off of real estate. So in 2010, that's when licensing became a thing in the mortgage business. So I started out as a junior loan officer, and then I ended up just doing a lot of back-end processing work from 2010 to 2012. I didn't really have a really good mentor, I guess you could say, but I did have a couple people kind of showing me the basics. I mean, I got thrown to the wolves, man. I got thrown to the wolves. Basically, they gave me a desk and they gave me a computer, and they said, hey, go out and sell, go out and get us some loans, basically. Go do mortgages. So I basically had to learn the hard way. So, and I think learning the hard way actually is why I am where I am today. In 2018, I was working at a big retail company. I was a manager. I basically went to a retail company to see kind of how the quote-unquote big boys are doing it. Mm-hmm. And I realized that it was no different. It was no different from me working for the small guys. And I saw all the brokers are making, not only they're making good money, but they're selling way lower rates, small margin, it's a small margin on the broker channel. So in late 2018, early 2019, we started Fast Action Mortgage. It's been rolling ever since. Early 2019, we started it. We started building it, and today we're a group of about 10, 11 people. So yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of things I wanted to touch on that you mentioned is you persevered through the hard times. A lot of times in this industry, people join because it is lucrative. You can make a lot of money.
Right.
But as soon as the going gets tough, people bail, right? As you know, in this market, it's interesting. Rates have gone up, so it is challenging as a profession. But the people that are about the business, people that are serious, they persevere. The gut check moment. Andrew had a gut check moment. He had an epiphany. He was like, you know what? No, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it happen. So definitely give you props and accolades for that. That's huge. The fact that you stuck around. Loan modifications, those were, difficult. Short sales, those weren't easy, right? I remember 2008, 2009 when I was in the business. It took 3 times as long to close. So I think that says a lot about your leadership, about the company you built. You also mentioned something about the broker channel, right? You've worked for different companies. I work for different companies. I worked for a direct lender. I worked for a big bank. So I've seen the ins and outs and just how people do business. And I think I wanted to just ask you, because Fast Action Mortgage is a growing brokerage here in Orange County, services loans in multiple states. What differentiates you as a broker versus the other outlets out there, like the banks or the direct lenders, etc.?
Okay, so the broker channels, like I was telling you before, obviously we work off of wholesale rate sheets. So essentially we work at a much thinner margin. You have brokers, and then you have retail lenders, and then you have the big banks, like the FDIC insured banks. Like I said, so we operate on a much smaller margin. We don't have operations, where we have operations, but we don't have the regional managers. We don't have a lot of the higher end executives. We don't have executives on the broker side. So we're able to cut costs, and that cost is passed on to the borrower. For a retail lender to beat a broker, extremely difficult. Like if you guys are if you go to a Rocket Mortgage, I hate to talk about them, but they're the largest lender in the nation. And we're not saying that, not saying they're a bad company, but their retail channel does offer a little bit higher of rates or higher fees on their products that you can get from the broker channel, the same product. And obviously, of course, I think our service will be better. You're working one-on-one with your originator, your loan officer. You're not passed on to a client services manager or whatever other position you guys want to call them. And then you have your FDIC insured institutions. Those kind of banks, I mean, they really don't want to compete with the brokers and the lenders on, they're called conforming loans. Those big institutions, they sort of bend over backwards for the wealthier people because they're trying to get your money. The banks are after money. And they can lose money on a $1 million mortgage or $2 million mortgage if you can get somebody's, if I can get your retirement account in there, if I can get you a business line of credit, if I can sell you a $200,000 car loan, whatever the case may be, they have tons of products. We're a mortgage company, so we focus on mortgages only. They focus on a ton of banking products. And again, obviously there's nothing wrong with them. They serve a purpose. You go to a broker, you're getting, a 3%. You're going to the retail lender, you're getting 3.5%, but they're going to be like, hey, we have better service. We can do this and this and this. It's the same thing we can do. They can't do anything different. The only thing is usually a broker is going to be a smaller company, so they can, so each broker is going to have a different process, whereas a retail lender, they should have the same process throughout California or throughout Nevada, whatever state you're in. They should have that same process. But
one thing I was going to say really quick is your business model is lean. You focus 100% mortgages versus a bank, right? They're going to have multiple channels, multiple verticals of bringing in business, like you mentioned, right? Business loans, personal loans, etc. So definitely they're going to have more overhead versus here, like you said, lower margins, which is passed on to the customer, which means lower rates. And one thing you didn't mention is quicker turn times, quicker closing times. Mortgage brokers are smaller, but that doesn't mean they can't do big loans. And they can do them quicker, right? I've worked for big banks, and I know you don't want to talk bad and bash anybody, but and neither do I, but I will say that the bigger the company, just the more, I guess, not bureaucracy, but just more people involved, more departments. It just adds time to the loan. And I've seen loans close here very quickly. I've seen 5-day clear to closes, which essentially means that the underwriters reviewed the file and they've approved it. This loan is ready to close. And in this competitive market, in 5 days, that's impressive, right? Can that happen at another company or entity? Perhaps, but it's very common here. And that's what I like, mentioning brokers and giving accolades to them, because that's what they do. They specialize in that. So,
yeah, no, I like that. We're specialists in one field, not in 10 fields or whatever. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and one thing Andrew also mentioned was, other companies do have their specialties, right? Super jumbo, right? That's a term that's used for, loan amounts that are really, really, really high. Banks cater more to that. End of the day, brokers can do it as well. When you work with a broker, everything is self-sourced business, which means very personable touch to it. The goal here is to be professional and to educate, inform the borrower, the buyer, on options, right? And that's what you want. Someone that'll take the time, walk you through the process. This is not a call center. This is not just, we're not taking orders, right? This is somewhere where you actually get informed and educated, which I think is another value Fast Action Mortgage brings to the table as well.
And I like to use the term white glove service. That just means you're really cared for. You're treated like a human being. You're not treated like number 243. No, you're Jorge Salcedo. You're the guy we're working with. We appreciate you. We end up knowing these peoples. We know about your family. We know what you like to do on the weekends. So it's just, a little bit more personal, and we get to know you, not just surface level, basically.
Exactly. So that's a little bit about Andrew, his company, his journey, which I think is very impressive. But I kind of wanted to talk to you about the current state of the market, right? Things have shifted, right? We are in the middle, actually past the midpoint of the year. And in December of last year, rates were, the low threes.
Yeah, December 2021, yeah.
Rates have doubled. What does that mean? Does that mean you should panic and not buy a property? No. It just means you should work with a professional that's going to give you guidance, options, information, and help you, right?
My thing is, if you can afford the payment, then that's what you want to look at. If you can afford the payment, you go for that house, because that's going to be your house. Your loan is not forever. People in the US, they keep loans 5 to 7 years max. They're gone. People talk about how they'll never refinance. They just end up refinancing. Either they're going to cash out to pay for their son's education, or there's a wedding that they have to pay for, or just an expense came up, they got medical bills. People cash out, and then people do what's called a rate and term a lot of times. And that's the whole focus that we want to let people know about in today's market, that this loan is not forever. The rates will come down. They're not going to stay high forever. And by the way, they're not that high.
Facts.
Yeah, they're
Facts.
not really
True.
that high. So, you're talking, even if it's a 5% rate, that's nothing in comparison to what it used to be. So if you can afford a 5% rate when rates go down back to 3.5%, or even if rates are 6% now, when rates go back to 4% or 3.5%, we'll get you back into that lower payment, and then you can kind of set it and forget it once you have your loan that you want to use for the rest of that home.
Exactly. Real estate is scarce, right? Land is scarce, real estate is scarce, depending on where you live. So if you do see a home you really, really want, even if you're curious, let's just say you're in the beginning process, right? You haven't even talked to a professional, whether it's a realtor or a loan officer, and you're just curious to see, can you afford it? What would be your monthly payment? Talk to a professional. It's free. It's a free consultation, absolutely no obligation. It's just you informing yourself. And that's one of the first things I tell people, is to prepare yourself mentally and financially when deciding to purchase a home. And I think that's something that you brought and you mentioned, which is true.
Yeah, and we just have so many options. So basically my thing is to the consumer, if you think you don't qualify, ask. Just ask. If you think you don't have enough money, if you don't think you have enough credit, whatever the situation is, just ask, and one of us will definitely help you out.
Andrew, you go direct to the source. Realtors, other business professionals are knowledgeable to a certain degree, but when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, the details, you want to talk to a professional that can actually tell you exactly all of your options, whether you qualify. If you don't today, it's okay, you can qualify later. What are the steps needed? Put a plan together to get you where you want to be to purchase, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process.
Right. So
don't get intimidated. Don't feel like, you're basically all alone. You have a team. Lean on them and accomplish your goals, if that's to buy a property. So I think that's really important. Yeah, good point. Any scenario you have, I'm really confident that we're going to have a solution for you.
Yeah.
Right? Whether, like you mentioned, we have traditional loan programs and there are non-traditional loan programs that'll serve you. Mm-hmm. There's some loans where you have to completely document all of your income, and there's some loans you don't need any of it, right? It just depends on you, but you won't know unless you reach out. Fast Action Mortgage, located in Orange County. Andrew's license, his company's licensed in multiple states, which is also an advantage, and a good service to offer anyone out there who has questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, good times. Thank you so much for your time, man. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Jorge. All right.